One primary concern many WoW players have when they reach the endgame is, am I actually going to be able to join groups? Unfortunately, not all classes are equal, and it's always the case. Plus, some classes are heavily stacked when they are high performers and also very fun to play. Today we're going to talk about the most desired and wanted classes in Mists of Pandaria Classic, for those of you who just want to know that your class choice is completely safe. Firstly, we have the Hunter. The reason Hunter is such a safe class pick is because they are a top tier performer in raids, but they also provide just so many buffs and debuffs to boost the DPS of every other kind of party member. They are just so unbelievably adaptable to any raid composition. In 10-man raiding, it's easy to mess up a raid comp so that you, well, kind of suck. If you pick the wrong classes or you pick too much of the same class, then the raid can become needlessly difficult than it really needs to be. But having a Hunter in the group really does solve that, and you can even have two in a 10-man group. The Hunter can provide 19 different buffs and debuffs, and it's usually through pet abilities, so you can bring out different pets for different raid comps. There's pets that better complement spellcasters or the melee, and maybe it's just the tank who needs a bit of extra support. You can give them a 10% stamina buff and 10% reduced damage if you want that. The Hunter is just so versatile and definitely the most useful class to bring to a cheeky 10-man, but the Hunter has always been very fun to play, so a lot of people will likely play a Hunter. So yes, they are in high demand, but are also gonna, be a very common sight in this expansion, so you're gonna have to sign up to soft reserve runs quickly and early, and get recruited to a guild early and fast, probably now to be honest, because, they are going to be a very heavily stacked class. By the way guys, if you are looking to get your Monk and your Pandaren leveled up extremely fast in the pre-patch, then the best way to do it is to get a leveling guide made by the world record holding speed levelers in the game. And the guide also includes a really good quest route for when the expansion launches, so that you can get to have a massive experience boost and advantage for when the expansion does launch. So be sure to check that out in the description down below. Our next class, however, is a very high demand class, but much rarer, and it's the Priest. The healing specs are the ones that will stand out the most, especially Discipline, because of the Spirit Shell talent. It's a ridiculously powerful cooldown in this expansion. Basically, for the next 10 seconds when you cast it, all of your healing will instead become an absorption effect instead of direct healing. So you can imagine how useful this is going to be when paired with an AoE heal like Prayer of Healing. You can use it to prepare the entire raid for big AoE damage, and skilled raid leaders will cycle the priests in the raid comp using this cooldown. Also, because of the way that the priest is designed in MOP, if it can actually help out with the damage a little bit, when it's needed, and actually continue to heal. When a raid's problem isn't really, the healing, it's simply not enough DPS to push a phase, then this is when the Discipline Priest becomes very useful. And it can really make the difference between, securing a boss kill. Many people do consider the Priest to be the strongest healer of this expansion, and they're definitely not an overplayed class, so you're going to be in very high demand and probably find it fairly easy to find groups and guilds. Next we have the Warlock, another top performing class, and who doesn't like getting quickly summoned inside an instant straight to the boss. As a Warlock, you can usually mess around with two of the most viable specs for certain bosses, and all the specs are very fun to play. There's a lot of nuance to master, fun cooldowns, maneuverability, and a number of satisfying big damage abilities. I mean, let's be real, Warlock has always been probably one of the most badass classes to play no matter what spec you are playing or what version of the game you're playing. This is also the last time when the dot snapshotting playstyle is part of the game, because in WoD they change everything to dynamic damage, which in my humble opinion I've found to be a bit naff, and I don't understand why this ever changed. To be honest, it's probably one of my favourite playstyles in MMOs in general, and for me it's weirdly a big reason why I don't like playing retail anymore. They essentially removed an entire playstyle from the game. But anyway, I'm definitely on a tangenty ramble here. They're nowhere near the level of the Hunter when it comes to bringing support for the raid, but health stones and stuff like that can be useful, and a soul stone here and there is also great at, having a second chance if your healer dies or something. But they will consistently provide top performing DPS on a majority of boss fights for the entire expansion. So raid teams will want to stack a few, it's just simply because they get the raid DPS high enough to smash the content. But like I said, they are a strong and fun class, It's likely going to be a very common class that a lot of people are going to play. Next we have the Warrior, but honestly this is a little bit uncertain. We know that Warriors provide great raid buffs of their DPS buff Skull Banner that increases the crit damage of a whole raid for a short duration, but we don't know how strong the Warrior is going to be as a DPS and whether they will be strong straight out the gate or it's going to take them a while before they start pumping the numbers. It depends who you ask really. Looking at private server logs, I think they're going to be pretty good, especially with all the new class changes, though it is a little bit uncertain. But if Warrior do turn out to be a top tier DPS, then they will be a very high demand DPS. The raid buff they provide, it isn't as good as Bloodlust and Heroism obviously, but it's a close second. And big raid buffs like this are rare and quite unique. If they're good, they're likely going to be the most desired melee DPS to bring to a raid because of the support they bring. It's not that the other melee DPS aren't as good, it's just that they don't have Skull Banner. It's really that just overpowered, and they obviously had to remove it from Warlords of Draenor. They're also a great tank, highly desirable for dungeon runs because of how much they help out with their insane AoE DPS, and we will have higher difficulty mode dungeons with MOP Classic on top of having challenge modes, that obviously people will want to smash before the expansion progresses into Warlords of Draenor for all of that cool transmog gear. And lastly guys, I want to finish off with some honourable mentions. Now the best tanks are definitely going to be the Blood DK and the Brewmaster Monk. Your ideal dream tank setup comp is going to be both of these in the raid group. And they are two classes that are just amazing at preparing for huge damage and just shrugging it off. It takes a lot of stress off the healers. The Blood DK probably takes the most stress off because they are just constantly healing themselves with great consistent self-healing. And the Brewmaster is just a god tank at getting around the boss room to respond quickly to different mechanics and picking up adds and cool stuff like that. The Mage and the Shaman will also be in pretty high demand obviously because of Heroism, Bloodlust and Time Warp. The Mage provides this buff while also providing top tier DPS, but the Shaman is more of a middle of the pack DPS. But again, this might be a bit different, because of all the new class changes. But in my opinion, you can't go wrong with Hunter, Priest, Warlock, Warrior, Blood DK, and Brewmaster, Monk, and Shaman and Mage. You pick those classes in this expansion, you're going to get the invites, and you're going to get guilds pretty easily. So stay tuned guys for more class videos like this, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the videos. But anyway, my name is Meta Goblin, and until my next video, ciao.